Have you ever had a teacher with literally no common sense? Because ours made us train for a soccer match without a ball, and that wasn't even the weirdest part. It was middle school, and our PE teacher, Coach Martin, had his own philosophy. On the very first day, he stood at midfield with his hands behind his back and said, "We don't train the body first. We train the mind. The feet will follow." We all thought he was setting up for some inspirational speech, but then he blew his whistle and said, "Penalty drills, visual only. The ball is in your mind." So there we were, lined up and confused, taking turns kicking at empty grass while Coach called out imaginary results. Too soft, miss, nice curve, and scribbled furiously on a clipboard like he was scouting for the national team. When someone finally asked if we could use an actual ball, Coach shook his head and said, "Touching the ball too early builds dependency. You're better off imagining success than chasing failure." He banned goalkeepers entirely because, as he put it, if you remove the obstacle, fear has nowhere to grow. He made us run laps with our eyes closed to help us develop internal direction, and strapped pool noodles to our backs claiming it would sharpen peripheral energy, which mostly meant spinning in random directions like confused inflatable car lot mascots. One day, he showed up with noise-canceling headphones for everyone and said, "Real athletes don't rely on sound, they feel." And despite all that, we still showed up, partly because it was mandatory and partly because we were still hoping some of this made sense. Then came game day. Coach Martin gathered us at midfield and said, "They trained drills. You trained awareness. Trust your instincts. The ball is your shadow. The field is your mind." We actually walked onto the field believing that for a second. The whistle blew, and our striker, God bless him, stopped in place, closed his eyes, and swung his leg through the air like he was casting a spell. The ball barely moved, and the other team hesitated for a moment before taking it and scoring within 10 seconds. It all went downhill from there. One of our defenders started chasing a butterfly. Our goalie stood motionless in tree pose while the ball rolled past him 3 times. A midfielder got hit in the face, and Coach just nodded and said it was a lesson in humility. The opposing team began laughing openly during plays, and their coach actually sat down on a cooler and snacked like he was watching a documentary. By halftime, the score was 6-0. The referee walked over and quietly asked our assistant coach if we were missing players or just experimenting with unorthodox tactics. We waited for Coach to finally get serious, maybe give us a plan, but instead he had us sit in a circle on the field and said, "Victory begins in silence. Close your eyes and hum." While the other team practiced corner kicks, we sat humming like a meditation retreat in front of a stunned audience. Final score, 9-0, and only because the other team eased up and started encouraging us to score. We still didn't. After the game, Coach walked off the field like he'd just won something bigger than soccer. The very next day, an email went out announcing that Coach Martin had been reassigned to the Mindfulness Committee and that PE classes would now be handled by Mr. Patel, the science teacher who at least believed in gravity and equipment. But Coach never really left. He still appeared during gym sometimes, standing off to the side in silence, whispering things like, "Chase the moment, not the ball." We didn't win a single game that season, not even close. But sometimes, during recess, someone would shout, "Visual goal," and kick nothing into the net, and the rest of us, we'd laugh like it was day one again, because some teachers build athletes, and some accidentally start a philosophy cult.